I don't really have anything to say. I mean, I'm not surprised. What another disappointing end for the Phoenix Suns. I mean, just embarrassing, just pathetic. Back-to-back years in elimination games at home. They get 30 balled heading into halftime. Hey, at least this time around, you put up more than 27 points. But you still played like trash. I can't believe it. They ran back the same script. You were down 30 against Luka in Game 7 last year, and this year you were down 30 against Jokic. I mean, you guys just find ways to just absolutely suck in the most crucial moments in the postseason. You really do a great job of hurting your fan base. I feel bad for your fans because for the amount of talent this team has, man, y'all find ways to just squander it. Another year wasted for Phoenix, and I'm not surprised. I've been saying this for weeks now. I did not believe Phoenix could beat Denver. Hell, I didn't believe they could beat a healthy Clipper squad. And if anybody was watching the first round series, you would understand that the Clippers literally were giving this team, unhealthy, no Kawhi, no Paul George, they were literally giving this Suns team trouble. And the games came down to the wire with Russell Westbrook and freaking Norman Powell. Those two were leading the charge in giving Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, CP3, and DeAndre Ayton trouble. From the moment I saw that, I knew they were going to be in trouble in the second round. Like, I knew prior to that, but that right there confirmed my suspicions. And for this series, I was not surprised to see what I saw. But tonight, man, tonight was just sad. For the Nuggets, just to give some credit here, man, these guys played well. You got to see some great minutes from your starters, and, you know, off the bench, you did get some nice production. Yeah, Bruce Brown, 13 points tonight, 6 of 13. He was great. Jokic just being Jokic, being amazing, being fantastic. Had a 32-point triple-double, 32, 12, and 10. 13 of 18 from the field, just playing well. Jamal Murray, 26 points, 7 of 16 from the field. KCP showing up, 21 points, 7 of 11 from the field. You got 10 points from Michael Porter Jr. I mean, these guys just went out here and just played a well-balanced game. So credit to Denver. They're moving on to the conference finals. I'm not surprised in the slightest. I knew they would tear apart this Phoenix Suns team. Didn't expect it to happen like this in a Game 6, but it is what it is. But for Phoenix, I mean, it was only a matter of time. It legitimately was only a matter of time. This idea that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker were going to find a way to, you know, average 70 between the two of them 4 times to get them wins, or at least to get them a chance to win, it just wasn't sustainable. Devin Booker was like shooting 80% from the field at some point. That's not sustainable. He was red hot, but at some point, he's going to come down. And the minute he comes down, we know it's going to be a problem for Phoenix. And if you've seen the last 2 games, he's definitely come down. Tonight, it was even worse, man. I'm just taking a look at the numbers. Kevin Durant was terrible tonight. I don't care what the numbers show. 23 points, 8 of 19 from the field. He was terrible tonight. He was terrible tonight. Like, again, the first half, he was just awful. The first half, he was awful. There was just nothing there for him. And Devin Booker joined him in that because Devin Booker was awful today as well. 4 of 13 from the field, 12 points. I mean, he just didn't show up at all. Did not show up. The best play on the court for the Phoenix Suns tonight was Cameron Payne. 31 points, 12 of 16 from the field. I mean, the guy was on fire. He hit 7 threes. He was doing everything in his power to try and help this team, but we already knew the game was over by halftime. It's a damn shame, but I mean, this is just it for Phoenix. CP3 can't stay healthy. He's going to be, 38 next year. It's just, where's the hope for this team? Where's the hope for this team? Now, if there's any optimism, I guess, for the Suns fans, you'll sit back and say, well, what killed us was all the depth pieces that we gave up to get KD. We now can spend this offseason getting depth pieces, filling up that bench, so we have other guys that can help this team. But still, I just don't know what you do. I don't know what you're gonna do, man. Because DeAndre Ayton didn't play tonight, but still, he hasn't been playing well at all in this series. He hasn't looked great, and I don't know what you do with DeAndre Ayton. It feels like the Suns got to trade him. The Suns got to trade DeAndre Ayton, and they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with Chris Paul because he's not getting any younger. And every single year he gets into the playoffs, he gets injured at some point. It's not changing. At some point in the postseason, CP3 will be suffering an injury. It happens every year. So how long can the Suns continue to try and trust and believe that CP3 is going to help us get to where we want to get to, which is ultimately a championship? He wasn't great in this series either. I mean, this is nothing to really take away from here. He hasn't been great for much of the playoffs, and then he gets hurt again. So, like, what do you do with that? You got an aging CP3 that, again, can't stay healthy in the postseason. You got DeAndre Ayton that's just been playing bad throughout the postseason. He's had these moments where he's been good, but he was playing bad. In the first round, there were times where he was getting completely outplayed, out-physical, and outmatched by Zubac. And then in this series, he couldn't do anything with Jokic. And it's not a surprise because if you can't handle Zubac, how the hell are you going to try to even do anything to Nikola Jokic? There was nothing DeAndre Ayton was going to do in this series, and everybody knew that. And, there were just times where he was just standing around not doing anything. There was just times where he was just pouting and complaining and whining and being a baby. So I really believe Phoenix has to trade this guy. Devin Booker, I don't know what to say, man. He was having a great postseason, but we knew that level of play wasn't sustainable. You're going to have off nights. You're going to have bad nights. When you get nights where you're on fire, you take advantage of those. And the Phoenix Suns were able to take advantage of those. That's how they were able to tie the series. Because Devin Booker was just shooting at an insane rate, 80% from the field at some point. He was on it. But at some point, you were going to come down to earth. And boy, did he come down to earth in these last two games, and they paid for it. Like I've been saying, the only way this team was going to stand a chance against the Nuggets is if all four of their guys showed up and played a great game. CP3 got injured early on. DeAndre Ayton couldn't play a single positive game. And it left KD and Devin Booker to have to play perfect basketball while playing 40-plus minutes. That wasn't sustainable and that wasn't possible. They had no answer for Jokic the entire series, and the Nuggets' depth was just better. There's just nothing Phoenix could have done to really save themselves. Game 3 and Game 4, man, that was just a situation where Game 3 was a situation where everyone was shooting well, and Game 4, you finally got production from your bench, and it was just an awful shooting night from Denver. But we knew Denver wasn't going to shoot like that again. That was just an off night for Denver. They got back to how they're usually performing in Game 5, took that over, and then tonight they just continued to play their game. But the way they were playing defensively, man, they just dominated these guys, and Phoenix just looked like they didn't want it. After the first quarter, it just looked like Phoenix didn't want it, and the lead just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just looked like nobody on Phoenix other than Cameron Payne actually wanted to play basketball at that point. It felt like KD and Book just wanted to go home. It just really felt like that at some point. Speaking of Kevin Durant, what do we make of this guy? We need to have a conversation about him because KD hasn't accomplished anything significant since he's left Golden State. Like prior to Golden State, obviously he was on OKC. He won an MVP. He's been to the finals. He looked like one of the best players on the planet, which is why many people were pissed off when he went to Golden State. But since he's left Golden State, what has KD really accomplished? I mean, he went to Brooklyn to do what? I mean, that second round series, yeah, it's unfortunate. His toe was on the line. He was this close to getting to the Eastern Conference Finals and knocking off the Milwaukee Bucks. But he didn't do it. That was the best we saw from KD. What happens the following season? He gets swept. He and Kyrie got swept by the Celtics. And the Celtics just bullied and abused him for 4 games. And Kevin Durant didn't look good at all until Game 4. So he gets swept in the first round after an embarrassing display in the playoffs. Then this year comes. They're still not really doing much in Brooklyn. Then they start to get it going, and all of a sudden Kyrie's like, I don't want to be anymore. They trade Kyrie, and then all of a sudden he's like, you know what, let me go to Phoenix. And he comes to Phoenix here. And, they don't have much time to play, but then they get to the playoffs, and Kevin Durant throughout this postseason hasn't really been impressive. Like, if you look at the matchup and how he performed in the first round against the Clippers, you will really see that Devin Booker has been carrying not only him, but the entire team. Like, the reason they won against the Clippers is because Devin Booker was shooting out of this world. KD wasn't doing anything impressive against the Clippers, and he was even worse in this series against Denver. KD was being carried. He was being carried by Devin Booker in the series against the Clippers, and then the series here against the Nuggets. He didn't do much to contribute. So at what point do we just sit back and look at Kevin Durant and truly assess him? Because he hasn't accomplished anything significant since he's left Golden State. And he's been riding the coattails of another star for the most part. Like, I'm just saying, he hasn't showcased any leadership skills. He wasn't the leader of that Brooklyn team. That was Kyrie, and we saw how that worked out. He hasn't been the leader of this squad in Phoenix. That was Devin Booker, or if you want to give it to CP3, give it to CP3. Kevin Durant's just been a follower, and he's not performing in these playoff moments. When are we going to speak about this? Tonight, he was just awful. And yeah, Devin Booker shot worse than him, but Kevin Durant is supposed to be one of the best players on the planet, and he has not displayed that since he's left Golden State. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. We're going to have some serious conversations about Kevin Durant because he's not that guy anymore. He's not that guy anymore. Maybe the Achilles injury that he suffered in the NBA Finals truly took away that last aspect of Kevin Durant truly being Kevin Durant, but he hasn't really been that guy. The closest he's come to being that guy was, the series against Milwaukee in the second round a couple years back. But since then, I haven't really seen much from KD to really make me believe that he should be the best player on the planet. And I look at Giannis, I look at Joel Embiid, I look at Nikola Jokic, obviously. There's just, other players I would look at and just say, yeah, they're performing better in these moments. I would rather have them than Kevin Durant. We have to have a serious conversation about this because KD has just not been that guy for the last several years. He hasn't been that guy since he's left Golden State. And I don't know if he's ever going to be that guy. I don't know if we're ever going to see Kevin Durant lead a team to the finals again. I don't know if that's going to happen, man. Anyway, I'm going to cut it here. I don't need to continue to beat on the Phoenix Suns. Y'all got 30 balled in back-to-back years when you're in an elimination game. I don't know what else to tell you. That's just embarrassing. One last thing I forgot. I was speaking about this on Twitter too. I don't know how Phoenix is specifically going to feel about this, but is Monty's job going to be on the line? Because, if you're looking at what Monty's done with Phoenix, it's been great, but you look at how they performed in the NBA Finals when they were up 2-0. They choked away that lead. And then they get embarrassed at home in a Game 7 in an elimination game against Luka Doncic. And then this year, you get embarrassed again, 30-balled again, this time by Nikola Jokic in your home in a win-or-go-home situation. It's an elimination game. So, is Monty going to be held accountable for this? I don't want him to get fired, and I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but at some point the organization is going to be looking around and saying, look, guys, we got all this talent, and we're just choking, and we're getting embarrassed on our home court in elimination games. Someone's going to be held accountable, and I'm afraid they're going to point the finger at Monty, even if it isn't his fault. Because how can he account for CP3 getting injured? How can he account for DeAndre Ayton playing so soft and pouting on the bench? How can he account for that? How can he account for the lack of depth on this team? He's not the one that traded for Kevin Durant. He's working with the pieces he has. But these pieces he's had, they've been failing in the most important games of the season. So at some point, they're going to start looking at Monty and saying, if you don't get this job done, bro, we're going to have to let you go. I don't know if they're going to say that this offseason. I hope not, but there's going to be some serious questions arising in Phoenix. But they're going home. The discussion for them is going to be adding depth so that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker don't have to carry the entire load. They're going to look to probably trade DeAndre Ayton, and I don't know what they're going to do with CP3. As for Denver, you're moving on to the conference finals. You're waiting to see if the Lakers can close out the Warriors tomorrow night, or if the Warriors find a way to win in 7, and all of a sudden you got to deal with Steph Curry and the endless screens that they're going to be coming up with. Because Golden State, man, they're such a tough team to defend, and dealing with Steph is just an issue. Steph is such a huge problem. Steph is a massive problem. So no matter how you look at it, you're going to either be dealing with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and how they like to set their offense up, or you're going to be dealing with LeBron and AD. Either way, the Nuggets are in for a tough matchup in the conference finals. That's all I got to say. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.